I don't know if this podcast is more on the fact that stellar tracking is probably one of the most important things you can do, or the fact that your past client database is the most important thing you could work on. It's one or the other, or it's both, and that's what we're going to talk about right here, right now on the Loan Officer the Mortgage Loan Officer Podcast. I'm your host, Frank Gray. We're provided to you by the Mortgage Marketing Animals. I'm here with Coach Rick Koenig. How you doing, Coach?
I am excellent today. How about you?
Good. I'd be doing better if I didn't fumble my way through my own introduction here. Goodness, I don't know what's going on. You know what? It's too much caffeine. That's what it is, brother. Too much caffeine.
Well, you know what?
So
It'll sound all right when they're all listening on 1.25 and 1.5 speed anyway.
there you go. That's probably right. Running right through it. Yeah. So I wanted to chat with you because we were on Breakfast Club, Loan Officer Breakfast Club, and we were talking about our past client database, and it was kind of a longer conversation about it. And I brought up the fact that, I'm just curious why the actual engagement with phone calls to our past client database just kind of tends to be one of those sort of neglected things with a lot of originators. And of course, at Mortgage Marketing Animals, there's a very strong emphasis on making sure we're making those calls, quarterly calls. We preach call 2 letters of the alphabet every Wednesday, make sure everybody gets a call every quarter. Gratitude call just to check and see how they're doing, and then ask them if they have any friends, family, or coworkers that might be looking to buy, sell, or refinance. Very simple. Really, these are really easy calls. And in the discussion, I think it kind of came up, Rick, that I loan officers kind of not all, but a lot of us tend to look for that instant gratification, right? Like I might pounce on an online lead quicker than I'll pounce on calling someone in my past client database, because in my mind, I feel like the value's not in the past client database. The value's in this guy's looking right here, right now. I might be able to convert that guy. But you chimed in, and you coached several people in the mortgage industry, several loan officers, and there was one in particular that you brought up, and we were like, I was astonished at this loan officer's tracking and how accurate and detailed it was, and then the numbers that you were telling us that here's what he got out of his past client database by making his quarterly calls to them, this year or last year, whatever the case may be. Go through it.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about this loan officer. And guys, just so you know, I know this is probably on YouTube, but we don't want to show numbers, but Coach Rick showed me this gentleman's spreadsheet. It was one of the most remarkable things I've ever seen in my life, with graphs and pie charts and just numbers. And it was just like, oh my gosh, this guy's really an amazing tracker of his business. Tell me how about this gentleman, his tracking abilities, and specifically, let's really focus in on, is the past client database worth tapping into and making those quarterly phone calls to? Yes or no? Let's cut to the chase at the end of this. Yes or no? So
Well, I'll tell you
lay
what,
it on me, brother.
when I get a new client, and they all want instant business when you're coaching somebody, they're paying good money. They want to see something happen. One of the first things we do is always look at the past database, because that's your easiest pool to dip your foot in right away. It's the easiest phone call to make. Even people that you didn't have the greatest of transactions with, forget about it. I always compare a mortgage closing, if it was a bad one, to what they remember a year or two later. It's like a woman that had a baby. Why would they ever go through that pain and suffering again if it was bad the first time? Well, the bad mortgage closing, they forget it too, just like that. And I think the reason they forget about it, they're under so much stress, so much pressure. So when you even call the bad ones back, they're glad to hear from you. Most of the time when you say, hey, it's Rick from the Great Mortgage Company, they'll be like, Rick, what's going on?
Yeah.
So the numbers from my guy, though, were a little crazy.
Well,
So,
and when you get into the numbers, tell me everything he's tracking. Tell me everything that this guy is tracking. And guys, I got to tell you, the spreadsheet that this gentleman put together is just the most remarkable thing I've ever seen. But tell me everything he's tracking, how long he's been tracking it.
okay, so he has been tracking for a couple of years now, and he tracks everything year to date. So he is tracking volume. He is tracking realtor leads. He's tracking database leads. He's tracking the number of closed loans, closed loan volume, and year-to-date source summary, where his information's coming from. So just in that one thing, there was realtor referrals were 153, and that was
And
50.
what's the date range on this?
This is January 1 through
Today.
Yeah, a few weeks ago, or a few days ago.
Okay. And it's
Now,
just to get perspective, guys, we're recording this December 1, 2023. So this is through, we'll say November-ish.
yeah, so this is like
Okay.
28 days. So he had 153 realtor leads. So you divide that by 11.
In 28 days. In 28 days.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
And it was 56%. No. 153 leads year to date from his realtors.
Oh, year to date. Okay.
Year to date. Database was 73 leads, which was 27% of his database. But
okay, let's stop right there.
Well, let's say I have one more.
Okay.
So that's the past closed loan database was 73 referrals, but he had a second column for repeat customers, which was another 50. So that's 123 just from referrals of past from
the past clients.
Mm-hmm. 50 that came back to talk to him.
Okay.
123.
How big is this database of past clients? Yeah. But because you gave us a remarkable number on Breakfast Club. It was like the total number of past clients that either gave him a referral or did business with him was
132.
132.
Yeah.
So that was that was the total number of past clients that engaged with him to either hand him a referral or do business with him directly.
With 32 closings from those referrals.
Wow.
I mean, now if you take the average, and he's not in the average market, but if you take Carl's average number of 3,000, basically the guy made almost $100,000 just in referral business.
Yeah,
just
from past client database.
Past client database and past clients. Crazy, just outstanding numbers. And you saw the chart. I mean, it's the chart's crazy sick to look at. How
here's what I got from that on Breakfast Club, and here's what I get from it again is because the discussion was, why is this somehow neglected, right, by loan officers? If it's so fruitful, why is it seemingly neglected? And I believe what the answer is that we're not tracking it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we can't sit and look at a spreadsheet like this gentleman's put together and look at it and go, well, hold on. This is, what did you say? Was it 27% of his overall business so far this year? Was that what the number was? Or
no, between everything, it was 141 leads from there and 153 from realtors. So over 40% of his business.
You see what I mean? So, but he can see it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So because he's tracking it so well, he can look at it. And then obviously, if I'm looking at that, if I was tracking that well and I'm looking at that, then I would be saying to myself, yeah, let's do more of that, right? Let's make sure we're doing that, because that's being extremely fruitful. I think for many originators, because of the lack of tracking, there's the lack of clarity on what's actually coming from it, right? In a year's worth of time, a person may have had 30 closings out of their database and don't even remember it, and don't know the number that it was. And that might have been just from people who remembered them, right? There was no actual engagement where it could have quadrupled it or tripled the number if they were engaging, with it. So
I ran some numbers. So we have, we call it our freedom dashboard. We look at the missed opportunities that a loan officer has in their business right now. We're kind of calling that the gap. What's your actual business from the four main things that we do: the just ask, the pre-approved and looking, the database calls, and then your Thor's Hammer Focus 40 calls. And the person that has 400 past clients, if you have 400 past clients, that typically will come out to about 16 leads on average a month, and possibly 4 closings if you're closing 25% of your leads.
That's with 400.
That's with 400.
So if you had 1,600,
that's the exact number.
It'd be
one of my clients yesterday.
1,600. So would you say that would result in about 15 deals a month, maybe
It could, yes. Yeah. So that
10,
the
10 to 15, something like that?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, if you're getting a 1%, you're getting 16 leads a month, four deals a month. Even if our numbers are off and it's two extra deals a month, in a lot of markets, that's anywhere from $6,000 to $10,000 in additional income a month.
Yeah.
It's an extra, almost $120,000 a year. It's literally it's crazy, And then you think of your sphere of influence, which isn't your past closed database, but your family, friends, and the people that you're friends with on Facebook and other
Right.
Instagram and things like that. That's a lot lower return. But somebody that has 200 friends on family on Instagram or Facebook could be another four leads or at least one more deal a month. So calling that past closed loan, having a good past closed loan database in your CRM that you can go after and call. And you know what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to call two letters of the alphabet every week, or divide the list up by 13 and call 1/13 of that list, and you'll get through that entire list within 1/4 of the year. And then the calling starts back over. And
Got
are
it.
you going to get those kind of results the first time? You'll be shocked. We were just on a coach's call. The four coaches were on a call together, and one of the guys say he had one of his coaching clients, the assistant was making all the calls to the past client database. And
Yes.
so because they tracked their numbers, there was no closings for like 4 months on the past closed loan database. So the coach, Doug Catterate, Coach Doug made the suggestion that he call himself. And Frank, within 2 weeks of him calling himself, he had 18 referrals the first 2 weeks he called. And this is just in the last 30 days. So this isn't
Uh,
some number from back when things were great. This is
right. This is
live
today.
action right
This
now.
is today. And let's point this out too, because I think a lot of people, I think there's many loan officers who feel like, I don't want to call my past client database. They're got 3% interest rates. Remember, guys, this isn't necessarily about them. It's just touching base and asking them if they know somebody. And if they've already done business with you and they know, like, and trust you, they're happy to refer people to you. And that's where this is. And let's also not discount the fact that life happens with people.
Mhm.
And actually, there's a lot of people doing refinances right now, cash out refinances, paying off debt, getting rid of a 3% rate, getting a 7% rate, still coming out ahead of the game because the debt that they've accumulated is. You and I were talking about cars earlier, and before we started this podcast. I mean, the average car payment today is like, I think it's like $900, right? I think that's the average car payment today. It's $800 or $900, no BS. And so there's still a lot of opportunity for that. But let's kind of bring this thing home. I got to wrap this up, Coach. But so I think one reason people neglect the call to the past client database is simply because they don't realize, because they're not tracking so well, what's potentially there. They don't see it in front of their eyes. The other reason is they don't know what to say, right? And they're especially concerned about, oh, I hadn't talked to this person in 5 years, 6 years, whatever the case may be. Walk us through that. What do we say? And do we give a crap if because here's what I want to say. I'm gonna one thing I've heard people say is, if it's somebody you hadn't talked to in a long time, give them a call and say, hey, sorry, I haven't been good stay about staying in touch. I don't believe in that at all. I don't
No,
want to I
they,
don't
they
want to
don't know
start a
you're
phone call
supposed to
saying
stay in
I'm
touch.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, it's like, yeah, you've been really slacking on your job. Yeah, So tell us about it. What do we say?
So
What do we
here's the
say on the phone?
script that we've been using just recently because of the equity people have in their homes, and life happens, people that might need to do cash out. And a
Okay.
lot of times loan officers don't want to call up and ask people about a cash out refinance. So my call would be, hey, Frank, hey, it's Rick Koenig from the Great Mortgage Company. How you doing?
Good,
And
man. How are you?
hey,
Great to hear from you.
well,
Which
man,
is
it's that
how it's
time of
gonna
the year.
go. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's that time of the year, man. I'm just thinking about all these great clients I've had over the last few years, and you're one of those people. And one, I was calling you up to just say, hey, thanks for your business, and two, hey, it's been a little crazy in the mortgage business this year, and I'm always looking for good referrals from people that I love doing business with. So I'm just calling to say, if you have any family, friends, or coworkers that you hear them talking about, you know, purchasing, refinancing, buying some rental properties, hey, would you keep me in mind and maybe ask them to do like a three-way text?
But of course.
But here's the add-on. Now the add-on, because of the equity and that stuff people have, so you can throw in there. And hey, by the way, if any of those people you're talking to, you find out that maybe they got way more in payments than they want, and with the way inflation's been, boy, they're having a hard time making ends meet. If they've got a lot of equity in their home, man, we have products that can help them pay off all that debt. And we've seen situations recently where people have refinanced and even saved $500 to $2,000 a month in their monthly payments. And I've heard stories of more. So if you know somebody in that situation, have them give me a call. Do the three-way text. That'd be the best. That way they know that you trust me, and that that you referred me.
Right.
And here's what happens. Either right there on the spot, 1 out of 10 to 15 of those people are going to go, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, it's my kid, or my brother was just complaining about stuff, or I do know someone at work who, or that's me.
Yeah,
As a
it's
matter of
them.
fact, that's
And
me.
it's the easiest
Interesting.
sale in the world. And then what you do is you show them, you can show them a home equity product if you have a product like that, but then you show them what the new rate, the new payment would be if you did the cash out, you pay off everything, and you get them back into a great shape, and you can actually change their lives. And there's no reason not to ask.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I love it. The script is perfect. Let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. I got to get out of here and do another podcast right behind this one. But I just want to thank you, Coach Rick, for taking the time to explain, what you've seen, especially particularly from this individual and your other coaching students when it comes to the past client database, and when it comes to tracking, how helpful that is, and giving us some insight on how to, script it and have that phone call. And please dive into your past client database and have that phone call. And don't worry if it's been a long time. It's okay. It's just a call of gratitude. Hey, just want to call and say thanks for doing business in the past. Check in with you and see how you're doing. Everything okay? Yeah, cool. Hey, well, keep me in mind if you have any friends, family, coworkers who can buy, sell, or refi. And boy, we've been saving people a lot of on their payment lately. Because life happens and people accumulate a bunch of debt and they just wind up feeling like they're overwhelmed with stuff. And even though rates are a little higher, we can still save them hundreds, maybe even thousands a month. So if you know anybody like that, keep me in mind. Okay. Very simple phone call.
Two
Very
scripts in one
simple.
podcast, man.
Yeah.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Very simple phone call. And here's the other thing. If you get the voicemail, leave that on the voicemail. Leave something similar to that on the voicemail. And the last thing is this, and this is what we found, is that many times when you connect or leave that voicemail, you don't pick up a deal on that call or on that voicemail. But 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, a month later, you get a phone call. I got your voicemail. Oh, hey, remember when you gave me a call? I got this person, or I need this, or I need that. That phone call, that quarterly phone call, is probably one of the most important phone calls you could possibly make. Coach Rick's student who tracks all this stuff proved it to us all, right? Has proven it to us all. It's a significant piece of his business, and it should be a significant piece of all of our business. We just can't neglect the call. Agreed, Coach?
Agreed, 100%.
All right. Well, let's get on out of here. Thanks for being on the podcast, Coach. I really
Oh,
appreciate you. We'll have you back again. And for the rest of you, man, if you want to learn more about what we got going on at Mortgage Marketing Animals, and if you want to get motivated to make sure you're making these calls and make sure you know your scripts, just visit us at Loan Officer Breakfast Club. It's free 30 minutes of coaching Monday through Thursday, 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern time. And the way to get there, just register for free, loanofficerbreakfastclub.com. That's loanofficerbreakfastclub.com. Coach Rick and I are there almost every day. Well, I'm there every day, every Monday through Thursday. Coach Rick is there pretty much every day. And a whole bunch of other loan officers are there. It's one of the coolest things that's going on out there right now. loanofficerbreakfastclub.com. We're looking forward to seeing you guys there. Thanks, Coach Rick. We'll catch up with you later.
thanks for having me.
All right. For the rest of you, we'll catch you here next week on the Mortgage Loan Officer Podcast. I got it right that time. Brought to you by the Mortgage Marketing Animals. We'll see you. Bye-bye.